Okay guys, we're here with my usual yearly video for the Yahoo Hockey Pools. I do this at the end of the year now because I can't access this stuff once the season is closed. So this is your outside. You can see the different pools, like there was Josh's pool. That's the money pool number 1, free pool, card pool, money pool number 2, and a private pool I was in this year. So we're going to go into the free pool because it's still going. So I'll give you some overlays just for those of you that are, still a little unsure. These are those of you that just don't know. This will be a little long-winded, so you better settle in because this will take a bit to explain it all. This is just a look at the playoff bracket. Normally I go over this last, but we're in the playoffs right now. It's pretty self-explanatory. 1st versus 8, 4th, 5th, 3rd, 6th. And then the winners move on in each bracket. Josh took on Bergie's Beauties, I took on Dominic's team, and then it's me and Josh in the finals for the free pool. So the playoffs are pretty, straightforward. It's more how everything works. While we're in here, I'm just going to go standings. It goes by points. So Josh had 500 points, which is why he was in the first seed. I had 426, which is why I was the 2nd seed, and so on and so forth through the list. We'll get to how you get the points, but it also shows you your win-loss, your win percentage, how you did last week, how many moves you've done. So like this year I've done 19 moves. What that means is using my ad drops. I'll go into that later. Josh did 53. You'll see in some of mine I'll do a ton if I've got a team that needs fixing. And down here, of course, this is where you can see what people done. I did drops last week so I could make it to the finals. Josh has done one this week. He dropped Thomas Greiss for Alexander Burrows. Again, we'll get into that here in a second. I don't want to confuse you too much. So this is the outside of the pool. This is when you're looking at your stats, and normally up here would be the weekly matchups. Right now we're in playoffs, but it's the same thing. So, this person's facing, these people are facing each other for the last consolation spots. This one here this one here is for 3rd place, 3rd and 4th. Okay, so let's get familiarized up here. Again, the first tab, that just takes you out into here, the outside your pools, where you can choose which pool you want to go into. Let's go back to our free pool. And that's the league tab. This is, to see this league. The next tab is my team. This is where a lot more stuff goes on. Let me get this in a little further. I got shit in my way and I shouldn't have. Let me sit here, guys. A little closer so we can see a little better. Okay, there's damn glare too. Doesn't help matters. Okay, so this is my team as it stands right now. Up top here, this is just the day. Right here you can click on these. This is the last 14 days. It'll show you all your stats, what they've done the last 14 days. Stat categories: goals, assists, plus minus, penalty minutes, power play points, shorthanded points, game-winning goals, shots on goals, hits and blocks. So we do include the hits and blocks and stuff like that because it makes your defense far more potent. The way I look at these is, if you're going to play a pool, you might as well play it like you would play, you construct a real team. You need some grinders, you need some good D, you need a couple of good goalies. So this is how these pools work. Each of these are a stat. If you, I'll get into the matchups where you can see the stats, but we'll show you that after. But each one is a stat here. And as I go through my list, you can see, it shows you what position they play. It's a good time to show this right here. As you can see in mine, most of them, you're going to get 2 center stats. So you get 2 center players that can play in a night, 2 left wingers, 2 right wingers, 4D, and 1 utility. I know it's hard to see at the bottom because of the screen glare, but it says utility down there. And then you get your bench players on the bottom. So in any given night, like tonight I just have 2 players going. They're both in an active slot. They're not sitting on my bench. If they sit on your bench, you will not get a single thing for them. You have to like for instance, oh geez, what was that all about? Alright, so I can click on this, go up to Brandon Peary. There, Bergeron is now in, if he played tonight. He doesn't. But that's how you move people around. Chris Russell, I got at the bottom. Tuck him in there. You go talk to your mommy. Daddy's busy right now.
Hey, babe.
So, again, you can just drag and you just click it. Click in there. Now Chris Russell's in and Tom Gilbert, who's sitting on the bench. Really, really simple how to put these in. You got to do it each day. You can go ahead, like, you know, like here's tomorrow. That's what I got going for tomorrow. Nobody's on the bench, so I'd have to put in anyways, but if I did, I could put this all in, like down here on my goalies. I got Hammond, Quick, Fleury, and Anderson. I've got a retired goaltending trio here. So, you know, let's say I'm going to put in Hammond and leave Fleury on the bench because he's having a hard go. And as you can see, his stat, well, I probably can't see that, but he's currently ranked 1,836, so he's had a bad couple of weeks. So, you know, you can goalie stats as well, very important. These are just as important as the top. You got game starts, wins, goals against average, saves, shots against, save percentage, and shutouts. Oh, sorry, I didn't turn that. So you can see those right here. The goals against doesn't mean anything. It's just factors into the goals against. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stats on the goalies. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for the out players. So out players are important. You know, you get 10 more points that you can take in there. But if you remember goalies, you know, goalies go quick. So I'll get into strategy after. But that's how you move your players around. That's how you see what they're going to do. I can go to Wednesday and send in all my players again. You know, get them all set up. You know, we'll put in Anderson. Stick them in there. It shows it's saved. It's all good. I would always suggest to check it every day to make sure that it doesn't forget the save. Once in a while it does that and it can really bone you. So each morning I get up while I'm drinking my caffeine. I look at my things to make sure everybody's in, everybody's where they're supposed to be. Then you're good. Well, it takes a few seconds to make sure they're in there. It's not as big of an ordeal as you think it might be. Okay, so you guys have seen this. You know how to look at the ranks. There's 30 days. We can go on the season. You can see, you know, where they rank in the season, where they ranked last year as well, or where their O ranking was, which is their draft ranking. That's your team there. Now up top here, get it so you guys can see it. The matchups, pretty, you know, straightforward. That just shows you what the matchup is. You know, me versus Josh. Tonight's the first night, so you can't see anything here. I'll go back out, and we'll go into the matchup I had with BJ, because it was freaking tight. Alright, so this is what, at the end of the week, our thing looked like. For every tie, so you see right here in the power play points, we tied. We'd each get a point. Now, where we're in the playoffs, points don't matter. It does, but you'll see what I mean here in a second. So, you know, in the regular season where we tied a stat, we'd each get a point. We basically split it. With anything that I won, I'd get 2 points. Anything that he wins, he'd get 2 points. So if this was regular season, I have I've got 8 wins, right? So that's 16 points. Plus we tied on 2 stats, which would give me 18 points. So that would be how many points I'd have if this was a regular season game matchup. So I'd have 18 points towards my total, which, you know, I can just click out here and go down. So for instance, you know, if I had the 18 points, then I'd get 18 more points on what I have already. So it's pretty, you know, self-explanatory. Let me go back in here. Of course it has to do this now. Click on this. Yes, it keeps telling me I'm winning medals. Alright. So, like I said, during the week, if you take a look at my players, Brandon Suter scored 2 goals, Nash got a couple goals, Dorsett 1, Forsberg, and so on. So that totaled up to 9. Whereas BJ's all totaled up to 8, which means I win that stat. Get a little better here. Same as the assists, same deal. Plus minus, I was plus 12 for all my players. He was a plus 10 with all his players, which gave me the stat. He beat me to penalty minutes. Power play points was a tie. Shorthanded points, game-winning goal, shots on goal, hits and blocks. And then we get into our goalie stats, which again, Many people ignore the goalies, and you will get boned as faster than anything if you don't have any goaltending. Because you think about it, if you don't got goaltending, you're giving up 7 stats. Usually it's 6 because shutouts are kind of hard to come by sometimes. But, you know, they're important. You need a goalie. At least 1, if not 2. Usually I go with 3. There's many ways to play these. I'm a goalie heavy person. I'll go with 3 decent starters. Usually I'll go with 2 really good starters if I can get them. And then I'll have a dark horse starter in there. Someone that I think, you know, may get to be a starter this year, or someone who's a starter for a crappier team, but I think that might have, you know, give me the stats I need. This year was Bernier. He was great for me last year. This year, not so much. Niemi as well. He boned me hard this year. It's amazing that I actually ended up winning these because my goaltending was not that great. But when I realized my goaltending was going down, I started focusing on these stats. So, you know, there's many ways to play this. It's a lot of thought, especially, like for me, usually what I'll do is Monday morning I'll get up and I'll see, you know, see who I'm playing, regular season. And I'll put a little thought into, you know, what my team is doing. If I've got a player that's playing absolutely horrible for like a month, he's not one of my top picks, I'll drop his ass. I'll show you how to do that here in a second. You can add drop and do stuff like that too. But this is how your week's going to go, whether it be regular season or if it's not. This is how your points are determined. These are the stats that you'll be dealing with: goaltending stats, forward stats, defense stats. And it's just a list of what my players did this week. You know, some of them I dropped. Here's my goalies. I picked up Bachman. Thought, alright, he's playing good, and then he gets a death in the family, and I ended up losing a pretty important ad drop. I was lucky to win this. This BJ's one of the best out there at these. So, but as you can see, Crawford played great for me all year. Let me go back to my team. You can go right into the yearly stats and see, you know, like Rick Nash, great pickup for me this year. He wasn't ranked super high, and he had a great year. So like Corey Crawford, you know, he's ranked 70th, strong year, 32 wins, 55 starts, 2.28 goals against average, 1,600 shots against, almost 1,500 saves, with a .924 save percentage, 2 shutouts, right? You know, that's pretty good. Niemi, good start to the year, terrible end to the year. You know, it was terrible. I used to have Bernier as well. Was a good dark horse for me last year, but this year, well, the Leaf problems are the Leaf problems. And Beer I just picked up recently for a couple spot starts because it was playoffs. But that is how you look at your team there. You can, I wonder if it'll actually let me add people. Okay. Oh, well, cool. All right, let's go back to my team. So I don't have to go out of here. Next important thing to look at. Over here, you can see add player, drop player, start active players, compare my team. Start active players is like an auto. It will put your players in. You just click it, it's going to slap them in. It may not be the right setup because you may have people on the bench that shouldn't be. But for those days where you only got a couple and you're in a rush, you click it, they're in. Drop player, that's when you want to drop a player, you know, but usually it's because if you're clicking on this button, it's because someone's coming off the IR. I don't have anybody on the injured reserve in here, but if someone was on the injured reserve, I better show you this. What you do is, let's say this guy's is hurt. Right here, like as you can see, it's got a little day-to-day on it, right? So he's day-to-day. You'd see like IR put under here, under this person. Let's say Ben Lovejoy got hurt. What you do is you click on it, and as you can see at the bottom, it doesn't show you very good. At the bottom, there's 2 bench spots opens up. If he had an IR on him, you would see IR spots open up down here too. You just click on the IR spot, let's say that was, and bam, he's in the IR. And then you've got a free spot here that you can use. That's what those IR spots are for. If someone's on the injured reserve and you don't want to drop them, put them in the IR spot, because once you put them in the IR spot, it opens up another spot up here so you can go and add another player. You don't lose this player, he sits on there until he becomes uninjured. Then you're going to have to drop a player, and you'd simply click on him and drag him into the bench again, and then he'd be ready to go. And it probably sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. It's really easy to do. So that's, you know, drop player is just a drop player. Add player. This is the one we want to look at. So I do this a ton. I'm always ad dropping people. If someone goes cold on me and they're not one of my big players, or I think they're just not going to come back, season-ending injuries, I'll drop someone because there's no point in having them in the IR if they're never going to come back. So this is your first look at the ad removes. This status here, I don't use it very often. It's all available players. I know it's hard to see because the white things fuck up on this, but it's just got the different teams. You can go and look at people's players. Like you could go in there and look at my teams. It's kind of useless. This here, I wonder if I can get this to show. It just does not like to show these. It's starting to come in a little bit. So this here is you can filter, add forward defensemen, all goaltenders, centers, right wingers, lefters. So this, like, I click on all goaltenders and hit filter, and then we got all goaltenders, right? It's just a filter thing. It's useful though. You definitely want it. The next filter beside it is your season. You can set it for the whole season. You can set it for 30 days, 14 days. So let's go 30 days. Hit our filter button. Set this back down. Now what this has done is it has, where I have all forwards and defensemen in the last 30 days, it has ranked everybody under that category. So we've got all our forwards and defensemen that are on the free agency list. These are all players that are not claimed by teams that are in this hockey pool. So these are all the players that are sitting here. Currently it's filtered on the O rank. You click on rank, which is their actual rank. That will give you a better representation of what they're doing. This is just what they did last year. That's what they expect them to be this year, based on the year before. It doesn't always work out that way. So, like, for instance, the last 30 days, Brian Gionta is ranked 45th for the last month. It shows his stats for this month, right here. I'll turn it. 4 goals, 8 assists, a -6, 2 penalty minutes, 7 power play points, which is quite impressive. Shorthanded point, those are gold. Those are hard to get. No game-winning goals. 49 shots, which is impressive. 11 hits, 7 blocks. I mean, he's playing great right now, except for the negativity. But he is on Buffalo, so you gotta, you can't blame him for that. So that's how you look at your players. So let's say I'm looking. Let's say, yeah, I want my power play points. So I'm gonna click on Brian Gionta. It's gonna show me down here who's adding him, who's dropping him. He's had 163 adds and 172 drops, depending on what people need him for. And here you can filter it. Again, I go last 2 weeks. He's ranked 11th in the NHL with 4 goals and 5 assists. So I mean, he's been having a tear. And it shows I'm going to add him. And down here it shows all the players I have. So let's say I've got a bunch of defensemen. So let's take out Bortowski or whatever the hell his name is. So if this is the player I want to get rid of, I just simply click this negative button, and then it shows me the 2 players. It shows them both. I'm looking at their 14 days, the last 14 days, how they're playing. Obviously, Gionta's way the hell better. Bortowski, though, is a hitting beast. He gets like 38 hits in 2 weeks. He's a hitting beast. Why I picked him up. So, and down at the bottom, I have to. There's a button right here, a little blue button. You can't see it because of the stupid camera, but it says add Brian Gionta and drop Mark Borowski. You click the button, and bam, it's done. And it shows you up front, it'll have this little green thing that says you have successfully added yada yada and drop yada yada. And this will automatically go to tomorrow, because when you add and do this, it doesn't reflect till tomorrow. So for today, I still have the same player. Bartowski's still there. Tomorrow, Bartowski's gone, and Gionta is right here. And he'll be available for you to use on the next day. So, you get 4 of these each week. I suggest you use them if you need to. Regular season, you gotta play it by ear. If you're having problems, your team's losing, you go into the matchups for the weeks that you've been playing, and you say, okay, I've been getting beat hard in, I don't know, shots on goal, hits, blocks, these stats here. My goaltending sucks. I'm not getting enough starts. I'm not getting enough shots against. You might want to look at dropping an out player picking up a maybe, you know, probably not going to be too many actual starting goalies out there, but you pick up an extra backup. You're going to sacrifice a little bit of stats, but usually you try to make it, you know, the worst player you got, and then that hopefully will get you an extra start here a week. You know, maybe they go hot, you get an extra few. It can plug holes. If you know you're having problems with like penalty minutes, hits, and blocks, fix it. You know, go after a guy who just gets lots of blocks to try to be more competitive in that stat, or get someone that does it all. You get some D that will get, you know, decent hits, pretty good blocks, and some penalty minutes. You know, they can fill a gap. Dion Phaneuf's one of them. He may be a pylon, but his back stats are great. You know, he doesn't get many shots, but he gets lots of hits, gets lots of blocks. He gets the odd power play point, gets lots of penalty minutes. He's a meathead, so you know, he's a good player for that. There's some other players that are great for, you know, like Ryan Reeves. If you're desperate for penalty minutes, man, he's the one to pick up. Or the buddy off Islanders there too. He's got the most. All right, so I think that pretty much shows you everything. I mean, there's more. You can look at the players up here. You can do research. You can go into mock drafts. So like once I get the teams for next year, Yahoo, probably about a month ahead of time, will let us start setting up. And I can start pulling people in. And once you have your team set up, before we draft, because we do this all live draft. I can't really show you how that works, but it's pretty much this. I will, okay, but I'll get into it in a sec. So you can do mock drafts in here. So like right now, I could go and do a mock draft, and it would just show you how drafts work. It's really easy, anyways. Let me go back to my team. So basically, add player is the exact same thing you're going to see in the draft. Except there's going to be up here in the box, there's going to be a timer saying, you know, a minute to a minute 30, depending on what we set. You have to pick a player. You just rank your player, or when you're drafting, it's going to go by O rank and actual rank for last year. Again, the O rank is what they think they're going to do this year. The rank in the drafting will be the rank that they were the year before, unlike, you know, it being current with the actual ad drop. Same damn thing though. It'll tell you, you'll have a little box here that'll tell you, you know, what you've picked. It'll have this, but in a smaller size. And you'll just go, okay, who do I need? This guy. Click, add. You've selected your guy. It goes to the next person on the list. They make their pick. It goes from 1 to 20, and then the 20th pick goes first in the second round. So it goes 1 through 20, then 20 through 1, and 1 through 20, and 20 through 1, so that it goes back and forth, so that it equalizes it out. First pick, you make it the best player in the game, but you're going to be the last pick on the second round, so it makes it a lot more fair. It gives people who have, you know, 20th pick a hope in hell of actually doing something. I've won being last pick. I had last picks all through this year. I didn't get above, I was in the bottom 80% for everything for picks, and here I won 4. So anything's possible. Just got to put the time into it. I think I've showed you guys everything in here. And the last thing I probably want to show you guys, I hate that it does that. Now that the thing's over. So strategy wise, again, you got to be strategic in your picks. We do live drafts like I said, so you're going to want to be there. You're going to want to pick your players. Don't forget your goalies. Second rule, don't forget your goalies. Third rule, don't forget your goalies. If you do, you're fucked. I'm not going to lie. You need at least 1 or 2 starters. I mean, it doesn't have to be super spectacular, but you need at least 2 game starts for you to even keep any of these stats. If you get 1 game start, you get nothing. There's just zeros. The other person takes it all. That is to prevent someone getting like 1 game start, getting a shutout, and then just benching their goalies for the rest of the week. You have to have at least 2. That way it's a little more fair. So like I said, you gotta get a starting goalie. I'd suggest 2. They don't have to be super spectacular. If you're going to want to go after your main stats more, you know, you want to more focus on these guys, you still need something back there to contain, you know, because if you've got terrible goaltending, let's say, you know, you've got 2 backups, if you don't get your damn starts, you just gave up 7 points down here. So the person you're playing against is up 7-0. They only need to steal a couple of points here, and they've got you. They'll beat you, right? So even if you're gonna go heavy in this, you gotta have something back here to, you know, try to steal points. You know, even if it's the save percentage and, you know, goals against, or there's many years where I have crappy goaltending and I just try to win on overpowering them with shots against, saves, and game starts. You know, you steal 3 points out of there, and you focus on your big power up here, and you can get a win that way. With BJ, as you can see, kicked my ass in goaltending. I mean, it was relatively close, but he doubled me in the wins. It was pretty clear cut. We were close in the goals against and saves. He had Hiller come in after Ramo got hurt and pull off that shutout, which really made him flip this stat on me. But I managed to hold this one stat, and if you look at the score, that one stat's what did it for me. I benched my goalie for the last night on Sunday, which was Crawford. It would have turned out that Crawford would have gotten me as good a stats anyways, and I would have tied him here, which would have meant I would have beaten him a little more. I didn't want to risk it against St. Louis, so I benched him, kept my 1 point, even though I knew I was giving up a point there, and hoped for this, and that's what I beat him in. So even when I have a goaltending team, you know, you can switch it up. It's all about tactics. It's about luck too. I mean, you can have the best team in the world, and you get in the playoffs and they play like shit. That's how it works, right? But that's what those ad drops are for every week. So, like with this here, in the playoffs, I'm super strategic. I will go in, look at who plays more games that week. Let's say Vancouver plays 4 games. Calgary only plays 2 games that week. I'll dump my Calgary players unless it's someone super high, you know, like someone I just can't do without, like Gaudreau was in a few of my pools, and pick up the Vancouver players. Not so much in the regular season, but in the playoffs, you got to win. If you don't win, then that's it. You know, you're done. So you throw everything. I've literally dumped all my goalies on the last night because they weren't starting the next day. I was in the finals. Dump my goalies, pick up out players, and try to overwhelm them up that stat. You know, it's a lot of tactics and stuff. Again, that's all playoffs, right? Regular season, what I do is I set up my players for the week. Every morning I come in and make sure they're in. They're not screwing me over with some sort of failure on the saving. Each week I'll spend, it depends on how much time I want to spend in it. If I've got a team, you know, they're doing poorly, money pool number 2, I was last place. This one I was in hard shape too. I had to sit down, spend a half hour a week, that's it, you know, Monday morning or Monday night or something, and look at what my players were doing, decide, okay, let's say Lars Eller, he's been playing like crap for me 3 weeks, 4 weeks. He's not a high pick, you know, he's not one of my Lynch guys that I'd hurt if they ever came alive again. So, do I drop him? Okay, let's say I drop his ass. I go into my ad drops. Oh, it's not going to do that yet. Well, I go into my ad drops like I showed you before. I say, okay, rank. And then I say, I want someone who's doing better in the last 30 days. So I rank, I filter it. So we got Johan Larsson. Shows last year, he didn't do anything. This year, he's, you know, having a good month. You can pick this guy up and hope to ride his hot streak. I've done it many times. You pick somebody up for 2-3 weeks, ride their hot streak. Once it's done, back on they go, back on the free agency list. I like this one, Alexander Burrows. He'd be a good one to pick up. Hard year last year because he was hurt, and he's been playing really good last little while. You can click on his thing. There's something I didn't show you. You see these little green boxes and red boxes. Red box means there's new news. Yellow boxes means there's relatively new news. Gray boxes means there's no new news. So what this means is it'll bring up what he's done, the games that are coming up, and some information on the side here. It says Alex Burrows has 4 goals in his last 4 games. And Yahoo's advice, he's also chipped in with assists, lots of penalty minutes. In other words, he is definitely a relevant player, good to have in. He got dumped because he wasn't playing those last few days, so that's why he's sitting on the free agency list. And that's how you do it. I mean, it's really not hard. Once you get in and play with it for like a week, it's easy peasy. The biggest thing you got to do is, I see people do it every year. You know, we go into the league. let's go into the standings. You get some teams down here at the bottom. They set up their teams, and they never look after it again. This is what happens when you do that. You cannot do that. If you're just going to do it and leave it, you're going to be last place. You have to make sure your players are in. It only takes a few seconds. Even if you want to do it each day, I just flip them in and I'm done for the day. I got 6 freaking pools, so if I can look after 6 pools and 2 kids and all the crazy stuff I do, then it's not that hard. You do got to put your players in each day, you know, easy peasy. Each week, you know, if you think, you know, like I was saying with the matchups, you go into your previous weeks and you see, all right, I'm getting freaking creamed up here. Let's say, you know, I just don't have the goal production. It means you've got a bunch of players that aren't playing good. Drop them. Add new ones. Unless, you know, it's someone big player like Rick Nash. If he was in a drought, I wouldn't drop Rick Nash. There will come a time, if he's 2, 3, 4 months in and still doing nothing, then yeah, you got to cut him loose if you have to. But big players like that, you hold on to them and just try to ride the cold streak. But you know, these other players, they're expendable. There's lots of people on the list. You do got to make sure you don't do anything too crazy, you know, like, and let's say I wanted to drop somebody. A lot of the time I'll just sit here, say, let's say the last 30 days, and they'll tell me. Brandon Suter's been playing good. Arzeller, yeah, better than he normally does. Richard's having a bad month. I kept him because he was my dark horse. Nash, of course, is gold. Forsberg was good all year. Johnson's been good lately. Let's see, who really sucks? Ben Lovejoy. Now, why do I have Ben Lovejoy? He's ranked 629. Why I have Ben Lovejoy is because... Here, I'm just going to pick it up and show you. This is Ben Lovejoy. 23 shots, which is pretty darn good for a defenseman. 59 hits and 28 blocks. That's why I kept Ben Lovejoy, because he is a hitting, blocking, shooting beast when it comes to those back stats there. And that's why I picked him up. Look, right under him, Lance Boma, who's been playing great. 26 hits, 26 shots, 41 hits, 16 blocks for a forward. That's a big stat for a forward. You don't see that with forwards too much. But again, look, Bonino, some of them are good at blocking. You know, they're good, like a Patrice Bergeron kind of player. And they'll definitely help you. You know, and then you get into, like, for instance, Boma's got 24 penalty minutes. Same as Dorsett, 30 penalty minutes. That's why them boys are there. They're hitters. Plus, Dorsett can score, you know. And you get Boma 4-4. Game-winning goal right there, too. You gotta look at all them stats. Just gotta put a little effort into it. They're so much fun. I mean, especially once you get into it. And dropping people, trying to fix, you know, your problems. I was really worried I wasn't going to make it into the playoffs in a few pools. Like, halfway through the season, I thought I was fucked. But I just kept at it. I kept tweaking my team. I kept looking for people who came hot. Grab them before anyone else could. You know, try to stay informed. Get them on my team. And there you go. I'm sure there's stuff that I left out, but that's the majority of it. And I'm starting to lose my voice because I have a cold. And talking so much is killing my throat. So that's my video for this year. Again, you know, I'll give you guys any information you want. I'm always willing to help with strategy and stuff like that. Even if you're facing me, I like the competition. I mean, this year I did the best I ever did. I've been at this over 10 years. I have 4 championships before this year, and I have 4 championships this year alone. So that's pretty good this year, and I'm fighting for a championship right now against Josh in the free pool. Also, I like to use Craig Williams as an example. His first year of playing in the pools, you know, he did pretty good for first year. He did okay. His next year, he won the card pool. This year, he came in second, almost beat Josh for the card pool, and Josh has been doing this longer than I have. So, I mean, that fast, in the span of a year, you can go from being a complete noob to win these things. I mean, not every year. I've had bad years where I don't get nothing. I mean, I'm lucky to get a frickin' medal. So, I mean, some years you get bad years, bad injuries. Just doesn't work out the way you want it to. But you just keep fighting it, and you'll be surprised where you end up. Alright, guys, if you need any extra information, don't hesitate to ask me. I'm always a wealth of info for this. Also, Josh has been doing it as long as I have, longer. So, all right, guys. I hope this is information, if nothing else. Have a good one.